Hello and welcome to part two and part three of the presentation. Part two is going to look at standards and expectations and learning and teaching. Part three is going to look at lunchtime and extracurricular clubs, S1 events and parent council and PTA. Firstly, if we look at standards and expectations, if we look at HoH, the HoH in Hermitage stands for high expectations. Across the school, in every classroom, in every department, we have high standards and expectations. We want our pupils to have the same. We want them to challenge themselves to become the best they possibly can, to work the hardest they possibly can, and we will continue to support them to ensure that they can do their very best. We want them to be on time. We want them to be punctual. We know the challenges that coming to secondary school. There'll be a few teething issues in terms of finding your way about the school, getting to get to the right department at the right time. But once the routine is in place, we want to ensure that our pupils are punctual, that they're on time when they're getting to their lessons, that they're on time when they're submitting homework. So in every aspect of what they do in school, we want them to retain that. We want them to be organised. We understand the challenges that come with coming to secondary school. You're not in the one classroom and work isn't set by the one teacher. You'll be visiting lots of different departments, lots of different teachers, and we want to have support in place to ensure that your child can plan and organise themselves. That's with work being set to be handed back in, tasks that they have to do, etc. But we'll talk about a wee bit of that when I talk to you about show my homework. Kind to others, we want to create a culture in the school where there is mutual respect and that every person accepts each other for who they are. And that's something that we put across, certainly within our health and wellbeing lessons. We want to promote that culture. Engaged, we want our pupils to be engaged in their learning. But that's not just about the pupils being engaged. We ensure there's a high quality of learning and teaching that takes place at Hermitage Academy. There's a stimulating learning environment, and there's lots of different learning skills being used, and accessing lots of different learning styles. And we want our children to be engaged with their learning. But that also means that there's an element of self-discipline. When we say discipline, we mean self-discipline. Because what I mean is to be engaged in your learning, there are going to be some subjects that you're naturally attracted to it because you enjoy them and you're good at them. But there are going to be some subjects where you have to overcome some challenges. It's not as easy to pick up and you have to persevere and work hard. So that's what we mean by self-discipline, that you're working hard to overcome all your challenges and to the very best you can across every curricular area. In terms of being organised, I mentioned that in the previous one. We want you to become equipped for school, that you're bringing all the right things that you would normally bring. And that is obviously like pencils, rulers, all the sorts of things you would bring. Nothing has really changed much from primary school. We have provisions in place if you're struggling, but really to ensure that you bring what you can. In terms of a calculator, I've got that up there. We would encourage every pupil to have a scientific calculator. We recommend the Casio calculator. That can be bought at any supermarket, any retailer. But with that, we would encourage you to do that because as you go through school, you start to sit exams and the Casio calculator, start to learn the functions and how to use the calculator best. We also sell the calculator in the school, but that's the one that we would recommend. In terms of homework, we do have a homework policy and that is available on the documentation on the school website. But again, what we would say there is Google Classroom and Show My Homework are the kind of two main mechanisms. Google Classroom is something we're using much more often, especially at this time. And we know that primary schools are using Google Classroom. So that means that the pupils are becoming confident in the use of Google Classroom and how to access that. But also, I would say at this time, teachers have obviously developed their knowledge and actually looked at the true potential that Google Classroom offers. So that is a main method of communication from classroom to home in a digital aspect. Obviously, if you don't have access or there isn't any issues from a digital perspective, let the school know and we will ensure that we've got physical copies available as well. Show My Homework is another kind of mechanism that we use, and this is very good for organising and planning. Show My Homework is an app you can download onto your phone or onto your computer, and this is and when your child is at the school, we will sign them on to Show My Homework. We will do all that in school, and it means that when we send a homework task from a subject, it automatically goes on to a kind of electronic calendar. So they'll be able to go into Show My Homework and see what homework's been issued, when it's due, but also from your perspective, you'll be able to see that as well, and also if they've submitted their homework as well, and any feedback that comes with it. In terms of the kind of digital aspect of the school, I know that can be quite something you think, oh, that's a lot of things to take in. But what we will do at the very beginning of term round about September, again providing on government guidelines and social distancing, we do have an information evening for junior school, but also at parents' evenings and all the other things that we have. We've worked hard with the Parent Council to have a digital support area. So if you are having issues with this, then you will have a place to come to at these events where we'll have areas, people specialised to support you and help you with any issues that you have. But just get in contact with the school for any other reason. But those are the main mechanisms for homework. We say responsibility for all. It's important that everyone plays a part in homework. We would like you as the parent and carer to support us in ensuring that your child does the best possible homework they can. For me, homework is the most important aspect of learning. It's the link from day-to-day learning. It's your prior learning. And to be able to progress with your learning, homework is what fills the gaps. When you progress and there are gaps in your learning, it's very difficult for you to access new skills or access new parts of the work without really knowing what you did before. So we would encourage you to do homework, to think of the progression in your learning and how you can truly reach your potential. In terms of learning and teaching, we have a broad general education that you will follow in first year. As you go further through school, you will be able to narrow those subjects down and select subjects that you want to pursue throughout your education. But at the very beginning, we provide a broad education. We allow you to access as many aspects of the curriculum as you can to help you inform your child further down the line. Languages, we have English and modern languages, we have mathematics, we have the expressive arts, which include art and design, drama and music, we have the sciences, which include biology, chemistry and physics, we have social studies, which includes geography, history and modern studies, we have the technologies, which include business and technical, we have health and well-being, which includes your health and well-being class, home economics and PE, and we also deliver religious and moral education. Assessment is very important because if we think about the fact that we have all those different subject areas, we've talked about that organisation and planning and how you can do your very best in each of those curricular areas. Well, this is how we gather the information, this is how the teachers gather the information. And assessment's important because it's how we look at your child and see how they're performing, and it's how we feed back to you, the parent, and how we can then move forward with that. We use various different strategies to gather that information. We have assessment is for learning strategies. Now, this is ongoing on a day-to-day basis. It's not just about a class test. We gather evidence on a daily basis. That may well be starter questions at the beginning of lessons. It might be the questions that we ask. We use show me boards, for example. So when we ask a question and the whole class hold their board up, we can see right away a big picture of how the class are performing and whether we need to consolidate and do a little bit more or whether we need to move on. We can then target individuals if there's areas of support they need. It might be post-it notes where you get to stick down some of the things that you don't understand, and we gather that information and use that when we're planning our lessons. So there's much more involved in assessment and for learning. So there's lots of ways that we gather that throughout the day-to-day teaching with a lot of active learning as well. We have coursework and project work, so throughout the course of the year there will be tasks and potentially projects, short tasks and maybe longer projects that are done and completed, and that information is retained again to help us inform our judgment in terms of how your child is performing. We have the class test, which some people always think is that the only thing we use. No, it's not. It's part of what we use. We obviously want pupils to study hard and do well, and that class test demonstrates their understanding. But can we emphasise at the very beginning that the actual most important aspect of a class test is the feedback and how we progress with our learning. We are only in first year and we are going to improve, but we need to look at what are we strong at, What are we doing really well in? Let's keep doing that. What areas do we need to work on? What areas do we need to improve on? Yep, okay, I've analysed that from my test. This is what I needed to do. And how do you move on from that? And how do we support you? And the teachers do that. The teachers help analyse the assessment and they help set targets and set goals for you to reach those targets. Formal homework. We talked about daily homework, which is so important in terms of that prior learning, that day-to-day connection. But formal homework maybe offers a bit more of a bigger picture in terms of it maybe cover, well, in fact, it will cover more than just one skill. It will cover maybe a full topic or a little bit more, and you will have a week to submit it. So it's a good opportunity for you to be learning about more than one skill, and so it works on retention, but it also helps that ongoing study and ongoing improvement in your learning. And again, that feedback is important in terms of how we move on. At the bottom, we have an assessment folder, and what we do is all this information that we gather throughout the course of the year goes into that one assessment folder, and that's the information that we use. That's how we inform our professional judgment, and that's how we communicate with you to let you know how your child is performing at the school. So really just to say that we use a wealth of information when we're feeding back to you. In terms of study skills, one of the things I would say is that work ethic is so important. I watched a TED talk recently, and what it talked about was three things. It talked about natural talent. People have natural talents, but how many people do we know who had a natural talent who never reached their potential because they didn't put that level of work in? Or people who are naturally intelligent who never stretched themselves and challenged themselves to improve and to learn more, and at some point were overtaken by others who did. So really what came from that TED talk was that work ethic is what makes a person. Work ethic is what helps people to achieve what they possibly can. If you work at something, you'll get there. Not everyone will reach the same level. Other people have maybe strengths in specific areas, but you will reach your potential, and that's what we encourage every pupil to do at Hermitage Academy. We talk about effective study techniques and planning your study. Again, I watched a TED talk which talked about how we plan our study, and with that, the people who perform the best, plan their studies around things they enjoy, whereas other people maybe who cram their studies at the very end start dropping things to focus on their studies. It's healthy to have both. And therefore, if we start studying early and doing more studying and more regularly, or less study more regularly, if you know what I mean, less time of study more regularly, as opposed to trying to cram everything into one full study, that will help you in terms of your learning. Learn from experience, like I said. It's all right to fail. It's all right to make mistakes because we learn from it. You're only in first year, and again, you will learn as you go through. From every experience you have will be a learning curve, and that will add to kind of the skills and the qualities that you have, and will help you to progress with your learning. Target setting, like I said, when you get that feedback, it's about what am I good at, what do I need to improve on, how am I going to improve on it, what targets am I going to set to achieve that, and that's something that your individual class teachers will work with you with. It's things that will be picked up at Study Club, which we offer at the school for S1s, where we teach them about the study techniques, we teach them about how to set targets and how to achieve. So, and actually within health and wellbeing, we focus on that as well, where we have conversations with the learners, as do your subject teachers, on how you can reach those targets. And then at the other end, how are you getting on? How have you done? Okay, that's great. There's the next step. So that's important as well. I mentioned about health and wellbeing because it's not about the physical aspect of studying, it's also about the psychological aspect of it as well, to maintain a healthy approach to it. And these techniques and strategies will be supported through your child's time at the academy. Like I mentioned briefly there, the study club that we offer in S1 is at lunchtime and after school, and that involves specialists across the school from different subject areas, but also people who can then come in, specialists, and talk about the study styles and techniques as well. Here's a little video. You might recognise this if you've watched The Incredibles 2, but it is so true.
We will control the horizontal. We will control the vertical. We can roll the image.
supposed to do it, Dad? They want us to do it.
I don't know that way. Why would they change math? Math is math.
Okay,
Math
Dad.
is math.
I'll just wait for Mom to get back.
What? Well, she won't understand it any better than I do.
And again, that's so true. I think what we're trying to say there is we want to support you as a parent carer because your child is now coming to Hermitage Academy and they're going into areas of specialism, and that makes it more challenging for you to be able to support your child. Now, we have things and we have strategies to work with parents, and like I said, we work with the Parent Council to improve all the time. But if you look at the school website, for example, and you go into pupils, the numeracy hub, we actually have a series of videos there to support you in how, on the methodologies that we use in school. And what we think is if that consistent approach is used around the child, then they will have more confidence and will improve with their learning. Now, we all know that when we were at school, maybe we did it a different way, and sometimes those variety of ways can be confusing. So although we accept there are different ways to do things, we're consistent in how we apply them. And we do that at the school across all our curricular areas. And we also have learning at home. We have a learning at home policy and a learning at home document that's provided to allow you to support your child at home and to make the link between the skills we learn in school to the skills we need to apply out in the real world and out with school. So those are things that we have in place as well. The only bit in communication I want to touch on here, because I've talked about it before, is tracking and monitoring. We've talked about the curricular areas that your child works on. We've talked about the assessment that we gather as part of that. Well, we use tracking and monitoring to communicate that. Each teacher looks at that wealth of information that we've collected, and we then report back to you on it. There are 3 tracking and monitoring stages throughout the year, one each term. One of them is a full report. In addition to that, we have a parents' evening, and we use that information at stages throughout the year to communicate that with you. In terms of lunchtime and after-school clubs, on a Monday, these are the clubs that run, and every club that I'm going to show you is definitely happening next year, but there will likely be some that will add throughout the year, which generally happens every year. So we have lunchtime clubs at the top and after school clubs at the bottom. And again, you have the potential with this to pause and look at those clubs if I've went through that too fast. Just to touch on some of the events linked to the transition, we have a fun run in Buddy Ball that will be happening on the week beginning of the 14th of September. It would normally happen on the Thursday. We do understand, obviously, through social distancing and government guidelines, we don't know exactly where we'll be in terms of what we'll be able to provide, but we're going to plan for it as we would anyway. And this is a celebration of the end of the transition, and it's a celebration of the S1s and the S6s because they've kind of developed that relationship as buddies. What we do throughout the day is we have a sponsored run where we raise money for the school, but also it's fancy dress, and the S1s and S6s are involved in that. In the evening, we have a disco, a buddy ball, where we have a DJ in, and we have the kind of whole hall set up again as a celebration is coming to the end of that transition stage. It's something that the pupils really enjoy, and again, we would encourage your child to take part in that. Here are some of the pictures from the fun run. Freshers Week, again, whether we can run this or not will depend on the advice we get back. But again, this is something we successfully ran last year. We ran this in partnership with the PTA, and it meant that new families who came to the school could take part in a family quiz. This allowed the PTA to raise some money, but also it allows parents to kind of see the work that the PTA do. It gets a chance to meet members of the PTA, and we would really encourage, if you have the time, to join and be part of that. There's also the Parent Council as well, and there's 2 bodies, parent bodies, that I want to kind of introduce you both to. They both do fantastic work for the school. The Parent Council, if we start with the Parent Council, Donna Hicks is the chairperson of the Parent Council. She's provided me with a letter and a statement that she would want to make, and she would generally present at this if we were at the school. But what I've done is I've attached that letter with this presentation, if you can have a little read at that as well. And what I will say is that we have an incredibly strong relationship with the Parent Council, and we want to ensure that we both want to get what's best for the children. We've worked specifically in things like the communications group this year, where I've worked with Donna and the Parent Council to look at how we can improve, and that's why we've introduced the likes of the digital support in terms of Show My Homework and Google Classroom, which is in all the events you attend to help you with that side of things. We've also looked at the school library and how it's now became a digital hub. So there's been definite progress made, and we want to continue to make that. But if you wish to get in contact with the Parent Council regarding any issues, the best way to do it is to go into the school website, to click on Parent section, and the third one down is Parent Council. That's the best way to get in contact with the Parent Council. There's also a Facebook page as well, and as I say, if you want to be part, but even if you want to join the Parent Council as well, because they are looking for new members on top of that. And this is a picture just on the left, that's Donna. And really, as I say, the Parent Council are there at all of our events. And what I would be saying there is, just get in contact with them if you do want to be part of it. Like I said, I've attached a statement from Donna that gives you more information, as she could provide more than I would. But again, as I say, just get in contact. In terms of the Parent Teacher Association, Penny Crisp is the chair of the Parent Teacher Association, the PTA, and likewise, if you wanted to get in contact with her, or if you were interested in joining, then by all means get in contact. And both the Parent Council and the PTA are really looking to involve the new parents that we have at the Academy, and you can play a really big part in improving the school through both bodies. And the last part is, do you have any questions? This is the important part. What I'm going to do is, with this email, I've also attached a Google form. Now, what you would need to do is to click on the link and follow the instructions. Obviously, when you click on the link, you will go through the parent section. It will allow you to ask any questions you have. Having watched this presentation, is there anything you're unsure about? Is there anything that you want to ask? If so, go into the Google form, put that question. It'd be really helpful if you're comfortable doing a video upload of your question. Please do that, because we can use that to promote some of the work that we do in the school. But you don't need to; you can just write it as well. This means that all the questions will be collated in one place, and I'll be able to get back to you with answers to any questions that you have. I'd also like you to ask your pupil, ask the pupil to do it as well, and they would go through the pupil section of the Google form. So you would just do the Google form again, let them go through the pupil part, and they can ask any questions or worries that they have. We would really like to collect that information, because it helps gather views and helps us improve what we do with their transition. Again, if your child is comfortable, please get them to do a video and to upload the video. It's very straightforward, and instructions are sent with the email. But again, that helps us promote the work that we're doing, and it would be quite good to use that if you were okay with it, to promote the good communication and the good work that we do at Hermitage Academy. So that's the end of the presentation. As I say, I hope we've answered as many questions as you had before I did the presentation. But like I said, if there are any more, please get in touch. Thank you very much.